What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Ron here. If you're stopping by the channel for the very first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. And while you guys are at it, go ahead and smash that like button. I really would appreciate that. Well, folks, 2023, we are here and we made it. We made it through another year. A lot of folks have resolutions. And for those who do have resolutions, I do hope that you have begun to go ahead and execute on those resolutions. Don't be another statistic. Don't let 2023 roll by and you look back at the end of the year and say to yourself, man, the resolutions I had high hopes, I had high dreams, I had dreams, and didn't even attempt any of them. And this is the sad story of a lot of Americans, of a lot of people. And the other thing that's really sad is how many people are going through life right now with no backup plan. No emergency fund, nothing. I read an article recently, and this statistic was actually startling. It said that only 40% of Americans could handle an unexpected emergency that was more than $400 without having to rely on credit cards like Visa, MasterCard, or American Express, a Discover card to cover it. And this is a sad state of affairs. This is really a sad state of affairs. You're telling me that only 40% of Americans could possibly afford to cover an unexpected $400 emergency? Are you kidding me? Like, there's no reason that we could be here in America, in the wealthiest country in the world. Well, at this point, maybe among the wealthiest countries in the world, and not be and actually find ourselves in that situation. I mean, like, that's irresponsible. It is irresponsible. So I want to talk to you guys about building an emergency fund, even if you're broke as crap right now, right? So you got no money. You're like one unexpected expense away from disaster. What do? I don't have any extra money. How do I build an emergency fund? So first of all, you need to figure out how big of an emergency fund you should have, right? Like, if you don't at least have $400, you need to go ahead and get that done. Go ahead and get $400 saved in a high yield savings account somehow, right? But one of the easiest ways that you can do this is, even if you're broke, even if you have no money, the first thing I would do is I would create a budget. If you don't understand where you're at, how can you figure out where to go? It's kind of like, imagine you got dropped into, you were blindfolded, and you got dropped into the middle of an unfamiliar town or city. You don't know, you've never been here before. How do you figure out what direction to go first? Well, you have to figure out where you're at, right? So in order to determine what direction to go, you need to know where you're first, where you are at the moment. So the way to do that financially is with a budget. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Get a piece of paper. You can write on a paper towel if that's all you have. Get a pen, a crayon. It doesn't matter. You need to write down, how much money do you make per month? How much money do you make per week? Right? So figure out how much money you make in a month and write that number down. This is the number, this is the figure that you're going to be using to deduct your expenses from. It's very simple process. No need to overcomplicate it, right? Now, if you have multiple streams of income, then you're going to have to add all of these different streams of income together to come up with your total income, your total monthly income. And if you live with a spouse, add your spouse's income to that. And this is your total household income. And this is what you have to work with. Hypothetically, let's say you bring in $5,000 a month. You make $2,500 a month. Your spouse makes $2,500 a month. You collectively have a total household income of $5,000 a month. Add up your expenses. You probably have rent, a mortgage payment. You maybe have a car payment. Maybe you have credit card bills, Visa, MasterCard, American Express. Maybe you've got utilities. You've got your electric bill. Add all those expenses up. How much do you spend for food? Write down how much you spend every single week for food and multiply it by 4. Once you come up with these total expenses, your cell phone bill, all of these expenses, you now have a figure and you can see exactly how much you have. And most people will find that somehow they actually have fewer bills than what they make per month. So they should have money left over. But the funny thing is that most people, they don't pay attention to these little expenses here and there. So these little expenses, they're gonna suck you dry because you're either not paying attention to these little expenses, or you're like most people, you're like, well, it's only $5 or it's only $10. So if you go to Starbucks every day, for example, you don't have, maybe it's not Starbucks, but whatever your thing is, if you spend $5 a day for 7 days a week, that's $35 a week times 4 weeks. That's $140 a month. So don't look at something that's only $5 and ignore the repercussions that it can have over a longer term or a longer period. Anyway, this is how a lot of people are burning through money and not even realizing it. Now, just imagine if you cut that out and you save that extra $140 a month for the next 12 months, you would have about $1,600 by the end of the year. So you could go from $0 to $1,600 fairly easily, fairly quickly. Another thing that I would be doing to free up cash quickly is now obviously there's ways to increase your income that, we'll be discussing. But I'm talking about quick ways that you can do, that you can implement and execute right now and get a near immediate result. Contact your credit card companies. A lot of people don't even think about doing this. I do this once a year. I mean, I used to do it once a year. It's not true that I do it every year now because I don't have any credit card debt. But when I had credit card debt, I would do it once a year around January, February. It'd just be a routine. Call up all your credit card companies, right? I don't carry a balance on my credit card. I make all of my purchase on my credit cards for the reward points. It's giving me cash back, travel rewards and whatnot. And this is also tax-free money if you're getting cash. If you're getting points from your credit card that have a monetary value that, for example, the last couple of vacations I've taken, we've gone to some beautiful places, tropical places, stayed in luxury resorts for free. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, I wonder how many people are doing what I did. We're sitting at the swim up bar in the middle of a beautiful pool, sipping on alcoholic beverages. And I didn't pay for none of this stuff. I use my credit card reward points for it. So anyway, that's a hack I'm going to save for another day. But if you have credit card balances, if you have a credit card balance, call your credit card company up. Tell them, hey, I'm thinking about, tell them you're thinking about transferring the balance over to another credit card and closing out the account. Chances are 9 times out of 10, they're going to send you over to the credit card retention department. And this credit card retention department is going to do everything in their power to make you happy, including lowering your interest rate. So make the call, and see what the best deal, what the best lowest interest rate that they can offer you is on that credit card. And what this will do is not only will it allow you to get out of debt faster, but it will also lower your minimum payment, because your minimum payment is based on how much you owe and your interest rate. So if your interest rate is lower, your minimum payment is going to be lower, and that's more money in your pocket back to you. And that means that every dollar that you pay down on that credit card is more effective in paying the debt off and getting out of debt, and at the same time also building that emergency fund. But guys, at a minimum, 3 to 6 months expenses. So if you know your monthly expenses are, say, $3,000 a month, then you need 3 months of an expense emergency savings account, then you need at least $9,000 to cover you for 3 months. If you need to be covered for 6 months, you need to have $18,000, assuming that your monthly expenses are $3,000 a month. So don't let these numbers startle you if these sound like big numbers to you. In the grand scheme of things, this is very doable, and most people can build an emergency fund in less than a year that can cover them for at least 3 months. So don't let the Fed's decision and these increasing interest rates catch you and your family off guard. Make these simple changes in your lives. Make these simple decisions in your lives that will have a very, very positive impact for you and your family going forward. Y'all be safe.